Hey guys, what's going on? Paul here. Welcome back to another Cardano catch-up where every Friday we take a look back at some of the main news, items, events within the Cardano ecosystem that caught my eye this week. Anything I have missed, do let me know in the comments below. I'll try and share it out on Twitter or include in upcoming videos. Give it a share if you think others can benefit. Like, subscribe if you're new. Lots to get into, so let's jump into it. Okay, lots to cover, like new ways to build on Cardano, open sourcing projects, TVL, different projects and tokenomics, some upcoming events. Timestamps will be below, but we'll start out taking a look at the announcement from the Cardano Foundation about Aiken, which they say the future of smart contracts. So this is a new way to build smart contracts on Cardano. Probably not just as new now. It's been around for a few months. We've mentioned it here a good few times on the channel, but they've put an article out talking about the history of where it came from, what's happening in it right now, and the future of where it's going to go. I had Pi on the live stream with myself and Paddy during the week, and we talked all about building on Cardano, talked about a lot of different things, governance, building on Cardano, different aspects of the community and things that are going on. So I'll leave a link to the live stream down below. We talked about Aiken and I asked him about that and what his thoughts were, and he seemed really impressed with it coming from the development side, that a lot more projects are going to be utilizing this going forward. So I'll leave links to that one down below. Also, for building on Cardano, I seen this one. Avatar Nick put out that excited to finally launch Cardano Sharp 5 with the Kyle Jones. So this is an open source C# library for building smart contracts on top of Cardano. So yet another way for people to come in and use. If you're coming in from the .NET side, .NET developers will be very happy to see a release like this. And once again, it's just giving more and more ways for people to build dApps on top of Cardano. So keeping in line with building, we go to open source, and we've seen two projects on Cardano open source this week. That is Indigo Protocol, which have been live for a few months now with their Synthetics platform. They have open sourced their smart contracts, and MELD have also open sourced theirs. So this one was interesting. There was lots of talk, kind of, are they really building on Cardano after the announcement kind of 2 weeks ago at this point, where they said about the issue they found with Cardano transactions and how it impacts the protocol that they are trying to build with lending and borrowing. We've talked a good bit about that in other videos, so I won't get into it here. But when people went in and they seen this, you can go into the GitHub, I think of it open, and you can come in here and you can see all of the code they've built for these smart contracts, and there is a lot there. And I've seen one or two developers commenting that it does look fairly decent what's there. If you go through it, you can start to see the lending contracts, the faucet, liquidation bot, and lots of stuff there. If any developers are watching this, I'd love to get some feedback on this, on the quality of the code, and if they can see kind of maybe what the issues were that MELD were referring to. On a whole, it's great to see that they have built for Cardano. Hopefully we'll see that going live before the year is over. There was lots of speculation with what they announced last week with the layer 1 they're building themselves on a subnet on Avalanche. But great to see that the Cardano code is there now. And with Indigo, you can also go in and check that out. And you can see if you come into the Indigo code here, you can see 3 people have already forked it. So I suppose this can be seen as good and bad. It can be a disadvantage to some protocols that they put in all the work to build the smart contracts. Others can come in and fork the code then and start building their own dApp on top of that. So we see this in other areas. We'll talk about some projects in a minute that may have already done this, but it really does encourage more and more dApps to build. If we look at the MELD one, actually, you can see 9 people have already forked this code to check, some maybe just to check it out, see what's going on, potentially 1 or 2 that might try and build a dApp of their own. In line with that and open source, one that I seen this week on Twitter, hadn't heard about it before, was CherryLend, or is CherryLend, who are open source lending on Cardano. So nothing live yet, but this is just a look into the GUI or the UI that we might see. And this is providing lending and borrowing on Cardano. And when you go into the roadmap here, you can see that peer-to-peer is targeted at May 2023, and with pooled lending, which for me personally is more interesting, and when you look at TVL metrics, which we'll get into in this video, then it definitely attracts a lot more people into it, and that is September 2023. Now, starting out with peer-to-peer, got people asking questions about where this is coming from and so quickly, and potentially they have forked the AA to finance code, which is open source. Indigo, congratulations, open sourcing your code, MELD to AADA, and there's lots of other projects out there that have already done it. I think New might be open source. Probably good to put a list together. If anyone knows the different projects that are already open source on Cardano, please do list it below. I'll try and find them and put them into the description of this video too. But just when I mentioned open source and forked code, there was mentions that the CherryLend may have forked the AADA finance code, and they've done this previously. I haven't seen confirmation from the team on that one yet, but that seems to be the speculation. But when you look into the team, you will see, if you check out Saturn Labs, they have been involved with Anita BTC, which minted their first BTC this week on Cardano. Great step to see, I would say. To people, just be cautious if you're going to trust your Bitcoin. When you're getting involved with any bridge and you're bridging assets over, always approach these things with caution. Test them out. Let them be tested in the marketplace to make sure things are safe, and never put all your eggs into one basket. But Anita BTC, you have Teddyswap, which is, these are all from the same team. Teddyswap, who were able to fork the Spectrum Finance code to build Teddyswap on top of that, and Toshi Drops, which is kind of very similar to what we have with drip drops. Moving on then to the Cardano TVL, when I mentioned it there and looking at how pooled lending is definitely attracting more to start. If you look at over the last 7 days, Liqwid Finance is up just under 14% in terms of total value locked in the platform. AADA is up just under 7%, and Fluid Tokens, which is lending, and that's more on the NFT side, where you can get liquidity out of the NFTs you're holding by putting them up as collateral and getting out ADA for that. They're up nearly 3%. Now, these numbers looked a bit better a few days ago, but in the last 2 days, the markets have dropped a bit. If you look at the overall TVL for Cardano, in terms of ADA, we still are rising, and we're setting new all-time highs basically every week right now in terms of ADA. As the market improves, we should hopefully see them over the next few months in the US dollar version too. And just before we move off TVL here, just to mention, when you turn on staking up on top and you look at it down here, you can see that WorldMobile has now been added in with TVL of just over $14 million. And that is all of the WMT that is locked up for the Earth node licenses. Great to see this has finally been added in. When you look at Djed, you can see it's down slightly over the last 7 days. Again, a lot of that, this is all in dollar term. So lots of that is due to the price of ADA being down. The overall market's been down for the last 7 days. And looking at Djed, you can see it's down 1.55% over the last 7 days, but the total Djed in circulation has gone up. Now, this is due to the overall market price being down, and the ADA that sits in the reserve over the last 7 days, the market price is down. But one interesting one on this was to look down here. You can see Djed seen a jump overnight. I posted this on April 17th. That was 4 days ago. One person minted $900,000 worth of Djed, and that pushed the circulating supply up to 4.2%. At the time, that brought the reserve ratio down to that 405%. And then when you looked on the platform, you could see it was up to $4.2 million worth of Djed, and the reserve was at 407%. Now, with the way the markets have gone over the last week, you can see that the circulating supply of Djed is slightly up on what it was, but the reserve ratio is down to 363%. That means that at the minute you cannot mint any more Djed, and you also can't burn Shen on the other side. So we talked a bit about that in the live stream on Wednesday, so I won't get into it now, but on a high level, we're talking about how they will be able to encourage more people to mint Shen. Right now, I'm not sure where that's going to come from, but that's definitely something that I think needs to be looked at in the whole Djed ecosystem. But the 900k that was minted was put into Liqwid Finance. So when you went onto Liqwid, you could see that it took a big jump. It went up to 1.5 million worth of Djed was on Liqwid Finance, and that equated to about 36% of the total Djed in circulation was over on Liqwid. And if we look at the Liqwid right now, I can see that it's actually even more now. Now there is nearly $1.7 million worth of Djed over on Liqwid, and they still haven't put back in the extra rewards incentives here. They're still working in the background, but they haven't put the numbers back onto the platform. That's why I haven't done the dedicated video on this. You can see I still have the test wallet connected here. The ADA I added as collateral, and then the Djed that I took out of the system. Actually, when I took the Djed out, I sold, or I used the Djed that I took out to buy ADA maybe 3-4 weeks ago. So at this point, if I sold it back, I would have a profit. If I bought back the Djed, I need to close this. But when I get into that video, I will talk a bit more about that. Now, we did talk about last week about the distribution of LQ rewards for February, where people were able to go in and claim them, and it didn't have a great impact on the price. If we look at the LQ price over here, you can see that on the 7th of April, when the rewards were released, there was a major sell-off in the market. LQ are trying to change that at the minute. What they're trying to do is they have a proposal in here, a temperature check, to change from a fixed schedule to a dynamic emission schedule. So the emissions, the amount of LQ being rewarded, would be based on what's happening on the protocol rather than a set amount. Right now, there is 207,000 LQ are distributed each month, and that goes to the community. That's for people getting involved and providing liquidity. Now, there is also, I think, something around 200,000 LQ goes to the team and the investors too. So there's a lot of LQ coming onto the market. This proposal is just to reduce the LQ that goes to the community, nothing to do with the team. You would still have the 200,000 LQ going to the team. But if you look down here, the reason they want to do it is because according to their data, the top 10 wallets obtained 56% of the LQ in February, which is over 100,000. And in March, they obtained 65%. And when I was taking a quick look at this on Tap Tools, so if people are interested in this type of stuff, maybe I'll do a video diving deeper into how I use Tap Tools to analyze things like this. Let me know below if it is of interest. But when you go into LQ and I go over the last 30 days looking at the biggest trades, you can see here on the 11th of April, someone sold 17,000 LQ and took out 157,000 ADA. On the 7th of April, when the distribution of the rewards started, you can see someone sold 14,000 LQ and got 156,000 ADA. On the 8th, there was more big sells over here. Then on the 14th, someone else sold. And if you look at this wallet here, the G0 wallet, you can see they sold here on the 14th. They sold 8,000. They sold 10,000 here, which is 18,000. And I think they had a third sale somewhere. You can see there's a third sale of 5,000. So that wallet there was the biggest wallet to sell off. I haven't dived any deeper yet to find out if that was all from the LQ rewards, but they made a serious amount of ADA. Whether this is right or not, the new proposal, I'm not sure, because you're still going to have the massive amount being released to the team. And if they're just going to sell, I don't know what they're going to do, but maybe there needs to be some compromise between what goes to the community and team. And maybe there can be something there where the team are willing to extend their vesting schedule, so there's less going out on that side too, and really help with the overall tokenomics at that point. So if there is interest, I will do a deeper dive video using Tap Tools, analyze things like that, analyze the trades and see where these types of funds are coming from and where they're being sold, or who are the biggest sellers, not just with LQ, across the board. And it will help with your own research when you're looking into projects too. On projects, Sundaeswap released the V2 of their UI this week. I had an interview with Pi earlier in the week where we walked through the whole platform, talked a bit about it. Nice clean UI. It seems very simple for when people new are coming into the space. The terminology I think is very good. You want to buy something or sell something, and then swap is what those of us within crypto are more commonly familiar with. But people coming in new mightn't go straight to swap. It might be I want to buy something, but it doesn't really make sense with the swap part. So if you want to get more of a deep dive into it and some of the features that will be coming fairly soon, then I'll link the interview with Pi down below. Next up, Messari put out a Q1 report on Cardano. So I'll leave a link to this thread below, and it also has the actual report. But some of the key insights that they have is about the market cap rise for quarter on quarter from 8.6 billion to 13.2, TVL increase of 172%, Indigo's IUSD and Djed helping to drive the stablecoin value up. So great to have stablecoins within Cardano now. They talk about the first Hydra head was opened on mainnet, which we've talked about. And in the Wednesday live stream with Pi, we dive a bit, or actually no, in the interview with Pi for Sundaeswap, we dive a bit deeper into Hydra and what they're trying to do with Hydra over on Sundaeswap. And then he talks about Milkameda's C1, Wanchain, Midnight, and basically the idea of sidechains and layer 2s for Cardano. more key metrics in that, and the actual report, you can go in and check it all out. I just took the main highlights out of it and shared it in that thread over on Twitter. Then some more reading for anyone interested in checking out what happened in 2022 with the Cardano Foundation. So they have released an annual report. So this is the first one they've ever done, going through everything that happened with the Cardano Foundation in 2022, looking at education, adoption, and really looking into development and what has been happening. So 26-page document, with the first few don't really count, but a lot of good information on what's happening with the CF there and different entities that they're involved in. Maybe in another video I can break that one down, going through the whole document to see everything that's in it for anyone interested. So another update then is from Handle that they are getting close to launching personalization. Well, they've linked up with 3 Cardano NFT projects to become the first official vendors. This is where you can customize your ADA handle. You can personalize it, add in your socials, or add in what way you want the actual ADA handle to work. ADA handles, for anyone not familiar, is where I own the ADA handle Paul. So if you use any of the Cardano wallets that support ADA handles, which I think at this point is most, if you want to send something to me, you just send it to Paul. You don't have to know individual addresses, and on the back end it gets routed to my wallet, which is really handy. It means that you don't have to know the big long addresses that everyone uses. And I think they said there's about 200,000 of these have been put into circulation already, not the personalized ones, but ADA handles in general. Now, to use this, as far as I know, this will be using the new standard for NFTs. So the NFT will need to be upgraded or will need to be swapped out for the new version, which are upgradable NFTs. But when the info comes out on that, I will share that one out. So next up is the few events that are happening this year. And Adam announced this one, that CNFTCon is going to change. So the name is going to change from CNFTCon to NFTX, and it's going to be in the Las Vegas Convention Center, September 28th to October 1st. So it's no longer just specifically Cardano. There will be cross-chain, so there will be different NFT projects there. I think this is a good step, opening it up and dropping the C. We've seen a lot of different entities around Cardano dropping the C, where people were calling it Cardano NFTs, and now it is looking at the industry standard, which is just NFTs. I think it's a good step, and anyone interested in NFTs and can make it, I would say it definitely will be a good event. So you can see here he talks about dropping the C, which we have seen lots of different projects drop over the last while. New branding isn't up just yet. If you're looking for it, it still is CNFTCon on Twitter. So on events then, another event that's happening this year is Rare Evo, which again is looking at being multi-chain this year rather than just Cardano specific. So that one's happening in August. That's August 24th to the 26th. And then we have the Cardano Summit happening the beginning of November. And Fabian released some, I suppose, teaser posts here. There was another one with a desert image that looked really good. It has been deleted, so maybe it wasn't meant to be out yet. But this one here looks good at the Burj Khalifa. That's where the awards dinner is going to be this year. So really hoping to be able to make it. But I'm going to have to wait and see how the markets play out over the next month or two before booking anything on that. Hope you guys got some value. If you did, please do share it out. Comment questions or any changes you'd like to see this format down below. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you soon.